Hi everyone, welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrina and I'm recording on Friday, August 18th. So sorry about that, I had to think about the date a little bit. My podcast is primarily about my knitting projects and also my horsemanship journey. We live in the Pacific Northwest, which has been very hot and dry. Today has been a little bit cooler, which is really nice. Today is a regular day off for me. I started working 410s recently, and I have to say that has been going very well, and I certainly love having an extra day off. I have been feeling particularly kind of lazy today, just thinking about projects, making zucchini bread, doing a little bit with my horses, but not too much. So what else do I want to include? Yeah, the Pacific Northwest. So I guess I didn't really finish my introduction here. So we, meaning my partner and me, we live here in the Pacific Northwest with my two horses, Odin and Bragi the Mustangs, who I adopted from the Bureau of Land Management Wild Horse Adoption Program, and I will have a link to that program in the show notes. My Odin is my older Mustang, and he is my riding horse. Bragi is, I still call him a baby horse. He is 5 years old, and he is on the pathway to learning how to be a riding horse, but this is going to take a long time. It's fine. I just want this to be a good learning experience for him and not traumatizing for any of us involved, and that includes me, my trainer, and Bragi. You know, I want it to be fun for him too. So, and then the other members of our household who may make an appearance are Harley and Herbert, our two kitties that we adopted from the local animal rescue no-kill shelter that's not too far from here. In the fall of 2020. So yeah, that's the household. And again, I just want to extend a very warm welcome. If you're a returning viewer, well, thank you. I appreciate your coming back and listening to me yammer on about the things that interest me. You know, this podcast is more about me telling stories and probably listening to me hear myself talk more than it is about anything useful to anyone else. So if you are a witness to this, thank you, appreciate it. If you're new here, well, I hope you like the content. Typically what I do is I talk about knitting first, and then I kind of dive into some horsemanship details. And I just want to talk about that a little bit for a second. But the third thing I tend to talk about is my garden. Let's see if I can remember to say everything I want to say, because I want to do this in somewhat of a logical order, and I will start with a knitting. So if you are here for the knitting, I hope, and want to leave for the horsemanship and the gardening and whatever else I'm up to, you know, I hope that works for you. One thing I want to show you is just what I'm wearing. This is my summer sock camp t-shirt 2023. This is the first time I have participated in summer sock camp with the crazy sock lady hosts. It's been kind of fun. I mean, there's lots of people who knit a lot of socks. I guess relatively speaking, I do knit a lot of socks. I think recently I started knitting maybe 5 or 6 pairs maybe in the course of a year. I mean, there are lots of people who can knit that in a couple weeks or a month. So I have a lot of projects, which is one reason why I tend to have a lot of whips, and then all of a sudden they all get done. And then I have a lot of finished objects. So let's get started with, I don't have any finished objects that I can think of. So, because I didn't look at my last episode's show notes. So I'm not sure if I had something that was on the needles that is now off the needle. I don't think so, because we left for a vacation and I left my half-finished objects at home. Just kind of worried that I would somehow finish them while I was on vacation, and then what would I do? Well, so I just cast on new projects. I mean, that seems like a logical solution, right? Okay, so let's start with, speaking of socks. I have a feeling this is going to be a long episode because I have a lot of bags around me. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the, what I'm working on. It's a Stephen West surprise sock along. I don't remember when it started. I just didn't feel terribly, I didn't feel super competitive about it, and I really enjoy Stephen West patterns. I think he explains things very well. You know, there's always a new technique or something, or a new pattern, a new way to think about colors. So this is the first finished sock. So this is really neat. So the cuff, and I knit the smallest size, and I used really small needles because I think I just have skinny feet. So there's the cuff, typical 2x2 rib, and then it goes into, let's see if I can make this clear. It's really obvious on the back, but it goes into this cable pattern, which I think is more clear on the back for some reason. I'm not sure why it's not as clear on the front, but anyway, it's more clear on the back. And then you do this sort of kind of brick type, and none of this is really color work per se. It's just slip stitches. So there's that, and then it goes into this section of where there's a purl. There's like a purl section, so it sticks out. So, and then kind of the zigzag section, and then this stripe section, and then finally just like right before the toe, and then the toe. So the yarn I used, what he advised was that the main color be a solid color that would show like the cable detail. So this is Knit Pick Stroll in Dove Heather, which I thought would be a great contrast color. And then for the, that's the main color. The contrast color is this hand-dyed yarn from Knitivity, and it is the Fiddle Bits sock yarn. And I put that contact information in the show notes. So here is the label. So the color is a number, and then that is Knitivity. Let me see. Yeah, so hand dyed at the Knitivity Studio in Houston, Texas, and it is www.knitivity.com. So let me just show you this again in case this is more clear. So it's www.knitivity.com. So that's finished. I finished that just a couple days ago. I was getting really close to being done with the that first sock. So, and I am working on the cable section of the second sock. So, so it's, I think I've just done one row of the cable, so you can't even really see it. Yeah, so I use Chowgu red lace needles in size 0. The recommended needles I think are 2.25 millimeters. These are 2 millimeters. And I knit the smallest size because that's what fits my foot. So yeah, these are really great socks. So there's some other interesting details about this, the way that the heels are striped. It's a heel flap and gusset, which I like. And then another interesting detail is there is some cabling along the gusset. So I didn't find that particularly difficult. I think I've heard another knitter had a little struggle with that. So if you've never knit a heel flap and gusset, it might be hard if you're trying to incorporate cable cabling in that as well. That is that project. That's an active project. I have some that have been languishing for a while. Another project I'm working on is the rocket tee. I had finished a rocket tee and I finished it recently, and then I immediately cast on another one, and I decided to do this one differently. The rocket tee is by, let me pull it out of the bag without de-needling everything. And I'm not really showing my bag. Well, I should show this bag. My mom made this for me. Isn't this cool? So it has the drawstring, which I prefer over zippers because I don't get the yarn caught in the zipper. So perfect for a sock bag. This bag is just a canvas bag I got at a conference in, I think it was January. So yeah, no big deal. Anyway, the rocket tee is a pattern by Tanis Fiber Arts. This is also a paid for pattern, so, and it's a little bit beat up, but this uses fingering weight yarn and mohair yarn. So the original pattern calls for it to be in stripes. I decided to hold the two together because I did the first one in stripes, and it was okay, just okay. The second one, I decided to hold the two yarns together and then do instead of striping, I did a purl row. And I like this one better. This is a V-neck top, knit top down, and raglan style sleeves. So I thought I had enough yarn for a second top, but I'm ending up, because I like this one better, I'm ending up ripping out my first one. So this is what the yarn looks like separated. I just started ripping out this morning. I'm not quite done. So you can see the light color, that's a fingering weight, and then the blue is the mohair. So yeah, I am deconstructing this one to knit something that I do like and will probably wear more often. The yarn is, the lighter color yarn is Cascade 220 fingering weight. I don't know that they have a colorway. If the price tag is on it, this was for 50 grams for 275 yards, was $6 a skein wherever I got it. I don't remember where I got it. Actually, I think I got it in New Hampshire at a trip I took, or my partner and I took a while ago. How many years ago would have that been? It was quite a while ago. The mohair is Berroco Ariel. And it's 65% mohair, 35% silk, and the colorway is a number, but here is the Ariel. Oops, got my finger over the Berroco. I still do, sorry about that. Okay, that's what that is. So this I cast on when I was going to Wisconsin in July, and just, it's great airplane knitting because a lot of it is stockinette. And then there is this little kind of lace detail down the sides under the arm. So you can see that. So super, super nice airplane knitting. So that's what I'm working on there. This is the I-cord bind off for around the sleeves that I removed. I don't know if I'm gonna, this is actually really difficult to pick. So I'm kind of hoping I don't need it. That's whip number 2. Whip number 3 is, so here's another bag made out of that same fabric that my mom made me. Bigger project. This is a cardigan by Rebecca Clow. What did I do with the pattern? Oh, no, sorry. This was holding a test knit that I did. The yarn is cotton. It is Knit Picks Cotlin DK weight out of gray. So this test knit is called the Vine Tee, and it is designed by seedling stitch. And it's this really cool pattern, and I'm showing you the wrong side, sorry about that. So it's a really pretty tank top that's quite modest if you make it in the right size. Well, I did a gauge swatch, and the gauge swatch came out fine, but because this is a cotton linen blend, I think the cotton just kind of started weighing it down, and it ended up being ginormous. So I'm in the process of ripping it out. I am going to try the vine tee again in a different color and a smaller, it's a Berroco yarn. Let me show you here. That I think it's called Comfort. It's a DK sport weight. And this is mostly nylon and superfine acrylic. So I'm gonna try it again in this colorway. So this yarn was salvaged from yet another project that I ripped out because that's what I do. Let me show you the vine, what it looks like. So these are all my test knit notes, but here is a great picture of what it looks like. And I highly, if you like this style, I think the yarn that she used might have been a linen. So yeah, really pretty. I wouldn't say it's super beginner friendly, because you have to keep track of the stitches in order to make that vine pattern work, which is a cable stitch. It was a little bit difficult, but she had lots of test knitters who whipped right through it, and we all gave her feedback, which she took into consideration and made changes on the pattern. So hopefully that will work better. Maybe it'll be a little bit more beginner friendly. So what did I do with the, oh, it's in this bag right here. Another bag from my mom that she gave me for my birthday. So I am knitting a cardigan out of that, the ripped out gray yarn, that gray cotton yarn. This is by Creabea, and it is called the Corran cardigan. So this is what it looks like. She offers a long sleeve variation, which I will do, a short sleeve variation, and I think also I want to say she might do a scoop neck. I'm not sure, but I kind of like the way this looks. So that's the pattern. And this is a bottom up, back and forth. Okay, I don't want to rip out any needles, but you can see it's this kind of neat lace pattern. So I think it's just going to be really cool in this gray yarn. I think this is just much better suited for this yarn. So it might be, because of the cotton, it might grow. So, I might have to adjust the button band, or maybe not really put on a button band, but maybe I'll have to put on a little bit of a button band, but maybe not the buttonhole band. I could probably just, it would be easy enough to shove buttons through any of those holes. So yeah, starts out with ribbing. It looks like about 2.5 inches maybe, and then just getting into the body of the sweater. I'm getting close to the point where I'm gonna have to divide for sleeves. So, and I kind of see a variation in the pattern, so I don't know. I've got plenty of yarn for this. I could do more than one out of the same yarn if I want to. So we'll see. We'll see. I might have, this one might be a do-over as I'm looking at the pattern, and so I'll keep you posted on how that goes. Okay, so those are works in progress. I have one, whoops, this pattern needs to go back in its bag, otherwise I will be upset. I made a mistake in the ribbing on that Corran cardigan, so it is kind of tempting to rip it out and start over. So we'll see. I've had this project, this languishing. This is a sock, a toe up sock that I started quite a while. It was still cold out. It looks like I have some loose stitches here, so it's been a while since I've worked on this. I'm tempted to dig it back out and start working on it again. This pattern came from this book, Sock Knitting Masterclass by Ann Budd, and it is called Half-Stranded Socks. So here is the picture of them. That's what they're supposed to look like. And mine look pretty good, I think. I mean, the color work part was really fun. The yarn is, this is a wool, Berroco ultrafine wool. This is not sock yarn, so I'm not putting any on the sole of the foot. And then this is Utopia, which I bought in Berroco last year, just when we were visiting. And this is a sock yarn, Berroco, Wisconsin. And this is Wisco sock. It's 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. So just a charcoal color. So yeah, I'm thinking about digging that back out, maybe after I finish the Stephen West surprise sock and look. What else do I have going on? I am a patron of the Bakery Bears, so I have access to free patterns. And I just downloaded this pattern today. This All Is Calm pattern. I think it's available to purchase on Ravelry if you are not a patron and you like it. So this is supposed to be a cool season vibe. And I happen to have, I belong to the Freckled Whimsy Yarn of the Month Club, and I think these colors would go very nicely in it. So this is the self-striping yarn. So that's kind of hanging out there. Looking for the label to see. It's the Harry Potter. Oh, here it is. Harry Potter Serendipity series. This is 75/25, superwash merino and nylon. And this is the Expecto Patronum Spells and Things series in December of 2022. So that is kind of on my mind for another project. So I think that rocket tee is going to go fairly quickly once I get that one piece unwound and get going on it again. I have another project that I have yarn for. It's a cowl. So I've kind of got a combination of large and small projects. You know, I have a tee going. I have, you know, in mind a tank top that hopefully I won't need this year. I would like it to be fall soon. And I have the cardigan going, and then the socks. So I always have socks on my needles. And then where is the, oh, show this bag. This is a bag my mom made for me. I think she gave that to me a couple of years ago. It's a really nice quilted bag with a zipper. This is perfect for socks, so I tend not to get it yarn caught in the zipper, but it has this kind of neat lining, and it has a little pocket. I don't know if I can show that with any success, but it has a pocket in here for my notions and stuff. So yeah, I use this one. This is my primary sock knitting bag. Okay, so something else. I have so many projects that are just waiting in the wings. I have another sweater pattern that's languishing. It's a Colorworks sweater. I don't like the yoke. I don't like how kind of big and sloppy it is. So that one's having a timeout. So this cowl, this is the cryptid cowl, and this is definitely Pacific Northwest themed. So you can see at least a Sasquatch right there, and then, you know, just like forest creatures. So yeah, I'm gonna do the infinity cowl, and I have all kinds of yarn for it. So this is a Knit Picks. I think this is Knit Picks. It's Highland Desert sport weight. In this Wood Smoke Heather is the name of the colorway. It is 100% USA grown and spun yarn. So yeah, I got my invoice, so that came from Knit Picks. And then the other colors I'm super excited about. These are also high desert. I must have bought a kit at one time or another. Although this is Spin Cycle here, which is this is a merino wool, and I was up at their store in Bellingham. I think it was February. So yeah, oh, Nocturne, there we go. Spin Cycle yarns, kind of this pretty color. And then this is more high desert, and this is Campione. So I think these two colors look really nice together. And then they will go with these. So also the high desert yarns. So let me see if I can put them all together. So this, oops, all right, I'll let you go. I'm not gonna let everyone go. So these are the colors together. So hopefully that white's getting really kind of blown out. Yeah, that's what those all look like. So yeah, that cryptid cowl, that's gonna be really fun. I ordered a book this morning, highly influenced by the Fruity Knitting podcast, and I ordered a Charlotte Stone Colorwork Socks book. And, you know, I was ordering it from Amazon, and then of course it's like, well, if you like this, you're gonna like 52 Weeks of Socks book by Lane Publishing. I was like, well, of course I would. So I ordered that too. I haven't got it yet. I just ordered it this morning, so it'll probably be here in the next couple days. Another recent purchase I think I got on Knit in Public Day from the local yarn store is this Knitting National Parks book. I haven't, there are 63 national park themed hats in here. Excuse me. I haven't quite decided. I mean, in some ways it'd be kind of fun to knit in order. So the first one is Acadia, and that is the last national park that I was in because I was in Maine recently for Randy's family reunion. Let me see if I can find the page for that. And since, yeah, okay. I mean, I kind of like to not have to buy yarn. I mean, these are hats. So that is Acadia, and it's, oh, well, I showed you that. So it's by these birch trees. That's the inspiration. So, yeah, I'm kind of hoping that I have enough yarn in my stash. I know I don't necessarily have those colors. I'm gonna have to think about that. Like I said, what I'd rather not do is buy, you know, keep buying yarn because I have so much yarn. So I know I have black. It looks like at least one of these yarns. So, okay, there's 3 colors. One of them is 100 yards, 50 grams, 100 yards, and the other 2 are minis. If they're minis, you know, they're 20-gram mini skeins, so I could probably make some mini skeins out of there. But one of them looks like it's kind of a gray, and the other looks like it is more of a black. I'm guessing I probably have that. And I'm not really a pom-pom person. We'll see if I change my mind on that. So I don't know, maybe that's what I'll do. Well, I have been talking for 30 minutes about knitting, which is probably a bit of a record for me. So I could talk about horsemanship, and you know, generally about when I talk about horsemanship, I talk about what we have been up to, and since we were on vacation, I really haven't been up to much. Prior to vacation, I was taking Odin on some trail rides. I've done some trail riding by myself, which has been really nice. Odin is a very nice Mustang. He is 11 years old. He's very calm, very sensible. If you watched my intro, there's a picture of me on him. You know, and he's just, I think it was last winter. It was in December. And he's just a very calm, reasonable horse, so I completely trust him, even riding by myself. I have had horses for a very long time. I mean, I fell in love with horses probably before I was even in school, even in kindergarten. And then I got to take my first pony ride at a local fair, you know, just the ponies that are on the little circle, walk around in a circle, and I just thought that was the best thing ever. And then subsequently, all my friendships were based on whether or not that person had horses. So yeah, I know that sounds really shallow. However, you know, I have formed some deep, lasting friendships from those. So, you know, those friendships from when we were kids have come and gone, but my adult friendships start very much the same way. And I think the neat thing about being an adult is that we're just much more honest about it. It's like, hey, you have horses, I have horses, let's be friends. And, you know, as long as we're pretty much in agreement about how horses are treated, I think it goes fine. And I have a great circle of friends, and we look out for each other when, you know, for instance, my friend Ellen had to have back surgery, and so I helped out with feeding her horses while she was in recovery. And, you know, we ride together, and then I have a neighbor who we trade horse care duties when each of us are out of town. So, and we ride together when we're at home at the same time too. So just really good friendships. I mean, a coworker became a good friend because she has horses. She happened to see, I think, either a photo of my horses in my work cubicle or something like that, and you know, it's the same thing. Hey, you have horses, I have horses, let's be friends. And yeah, it's like, well, now we're best friends. So it's a really great community, and we often all use the same farrier and the hay resource, and also the same trainer. So which all that to say is that our philosophy about horse keeping and horse care are, you know, really in alignment with each other. So, and we all ride together when we can, and you know, it doesn't always happen. So then we, a lot of times, you know, all of us ride by ourselves, and that's fine too. Bragi is still on the journey to learning how to be a saddle horse. He is very sensitive, and I admit that I coddled him a lot when he was young. So he learned quickly that if he just got startled about something, I would take the scary thing away or stop doing the scary thing, whatever it was. And so he just like tried to make everything very safe around him. Well, I have since learned that when you're trying to teach a horse to be as calm and wonderful as Odin is naturally, you need to expose them to startling and scary things, not to just scare the pants off them. Not that horses wear pants, but I was trying to use polite words. But just so that they learn how to think through things. And, you know, not only does that make him a safe riding horse, it also helps him cope with his own environment, because horses are prey animals. So in other words, they are eaten by other animals. I mean, yes, they are big, they are powerful, they can do a lot of damage, but you know, their evolution is that they were hunted and eaten by wolves and mountain lions and large critters. And we do have mountain lions around here. You know, there's plenty of deer, so I think it's unlikely that our horses are going to be pursued by mountain lions, but that is their millions of years. I mean, horses have been on this planet for like 50 million years, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that number. Not in the form that they are today, but they have evolved, and they have always been herbivores, so in other words, plant eaters, and have had predators, so that they have coexisted with predators on this planet for 50 million years is pretty amazing. And humans are predators. So, and just a quick kind of biology evolution lesson is that predators have eyes facing forward. That's wolves, dogs, humans, cats, mountain lions. Our eyes are facing forward. If you notice the herbivores that are prey animals, so cows, they have, you know, their eyes are like on the sides of their heads, and they basically have a swivel where they, I mean, my wrists don't even move in that direction, that I'm trying to demonstrate as eyeballs. They have large eyes, and that they can see almost 360 degrees around them. And they have very sensitive hearing and sense of smell, and just their senses are just highly attuned. It just is remarkable. So cows, horses, bunny rabbits is another good example of a prey animal. And you know, this whole dissertation, if you will, is just about how horses and humans, prey animal, predator, have bonded and trust each other to take care of each other. So that's a huge responsibility. Horses don't necessarily understand responsibility, but they do have an apparent code of ethics in their herd. And once you take on the responsibility of taking care of a horse, you are part of the herd. In fact, you are the herd leader. You are the one who controls food and water, and you know, and their shelter and sense of safety and comfort. So, all that to say, what does this have to do with Bragi learning things? So Bragi and Odin they're out on the pasture. There's a lot of forest around. You know, we have neighbors who make loud noises, unfamiliar noises. They have kids, they have grandkids. There's gunfire out here because we live in the peaceful country. And, you know, so they just have to be aware of that and be able to calmly navigate that environment in order to maintain their safety and sense of comfort. So horses' priorities as number one is safety, which often comes with companionship, and then food and water kind of come after that. And that is particularly true for wild horses. Domestic horses, it might be more food. Domestic horses are, and by that I mean horses that were bred and born on a farm. Wild horses, they are gathered from the range and then kept in corrals, and then eventually taken to hopefully a kind human that will help them learn how to navigate the human environment that they live in. Some of the controversy about removing Mustangs from BLM, Bureau of Land Management, rangelands includes, you know, wild horses should be able to just be out there and be free. I completely agree. That would be awesome. There's, you know, there's some competition. Ranchers also want to use that land to raise their cows and sheep, which, you know, is as someone who is occasionally a beef eater, you know, I can't argue with that too much. If I want to completely argue against that, I have to stop eating beef, and I'm probably not going to do that. You know, I try to focus on, you know, making good choices for the planet, which includes being more plant-based diet. But, you know, I also recognize the contradictions in my own life. The other thing about gathering horses from the wild, from the range, is that their average lifespan out there is 7 years. The average lifespan of a domestic horse is probably 25 years. So when I got Odin, he was 6. So in other words, an old man for the range. There are certainly other Mustangs that are older. Of course there are. I mean, there's always the exceptions. But again, if we're talking about averages, had Odin been on the range, he would probably be dead by now. I get the sense from Odin that I've had him for 5 years now. I get the sense that he really appreciates knowing where the food and water comes from every day, and he feels very safe. We have a very strong bond, and he that, you know, keeps growing as long as I don't violate his trust. And I have accidentally violated his trust, and it's taken a bit to get it back, but, you know, I get it back. You know, I say I'm sorry, and we'll start over, and, you know, I give him a chance to recuperate from that. And that is a beautiful bond between a human and a non-human. Okay, I think I've said enough about that. Again, Bragi is on his journey to be a riding horse, so we are teaching him how to understand stressful things, that, you know, things that he thinks are scary. They're not really that scary, but we're just trying to teach him that you don't have to be afraid of this thing. And respecting it when he says, I am afraid. It's like, okay, well, let's figure out a way to teach you another way. I'm trying to think of something that I am fearful of. Snakes startle me. So no one is going to help me grapple with my fear of snakes by just shoving me into a room full of snakes. That would be a terrible nightmare. But, you know, if someone were to introduce me to a snake, you know, maybe from 10 yards away, and I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. And then we just gradually get closer. So if we think about it in that way, that's how we teach horses and even other animals like dogs who don't speak our language. You know, how do we teach them how to do this thing so that they can navigate the human world and not get themselves hurt or hurt someone else? So we do it extremely incrementally. It's all baby steps. My trainer's coming tonight to help me work with Bragi. And yeah, we're going to continue our lessons and keep helping Bragi understand what is expected of him, and we're going to be very fair about it. So that's all I'm going to say about horsemanship. My garden is doing great. So we've been eating a lot of lettuce. The zucchini, oh my goodness, of course, it's zucchini time of the year. I have eaten zucchini 3 times a day, every day. Excuse me, this week. I had lunch with some friends, so I did not eat zucchini for lunch. Although I did eat zucchini for breakfast. I may avoid eating zucchini for dinner, but yeah, we have a lot of zucchinis. Even the big ones, I cut them into, so what I do is I cut them in half and then cut them in half longitudinally and then scoop out all the seeds, and then I kind of cut them into spears. And then I'll either, you know, slice those and stir fry them. My favorite way lately is to, like for breakfast, I'll grate the zucchini and then grate a little onion, put that in a hot frying pan with olive oil, and then crack a couple eggs on top of it and put the lid on top. So that's, and put some Crazy Jane salt on it, seasoning salt on it. That is really delicious. Another thing I have done is for stir frying, I think onions and zucchini, like mild onions, like Walla Walla Sweets, for instance, you know, putting those in kind of big chunks and putting in a frying pan with olive oil, put some herbs to Provence on it, stirring it around, and then add some sort of, I have this seasoning salt it's a fennel citrus salt, and putting some of that on there, that goes very well together too. I made zucchini bread this morning, so it's kind of all zucchini all the time. The next big crop that we are going to have is going to be butternut squash, so you'll probably be hearing a lot about that. I've been getting tomatoes. I have corn that's ready to harvest. What else? So started putting in the fall crops like radishes, maybe some more peas, some more greens, stuff like that. So my plan is to garden all winter. We'll see how that goes. So I'll keep you posted on that as well. Book that I'm reading is called Someone Else's Shoes by, what is her last name is Moyes. She wrote A Giver of Stars, which was about the rural library system in Kentucky, where librarians on horseback would bring books to residents in the hollows that didn't have any electricity or plumbing or anything like that. Yeah. Anyway, her first name starts with a J. I'm just not thinking of what it is, and then the last name is Moyes, Moyes. So I just started the Someone Else's Shoes book, which has been on the bestseller list. So so far I'm enjoying it. I think I've probably yammered on enough. I will include some photos at the end of this from, if I still have a picture of the finished vine top, I'll put that at the end, and I will put some pictures of the horses, of course. Do I ever fail to put pictures of horses? And then maybe some vacation pictures too. I didn't take that many, but I do have some nice shots. So enjoy the next couple weeks, and I'll see you probably in about 2 weeks' time. That's about the regularity at which I record. So enjoy, and I think that's all I have to say about that. All right, bye now.